Hey guys, it's Michael. Welcome back to the YouTube channel and welcome to a new video. Today we have a special video for you because we are doing some mobility testing today, and after the intro I will tell you why. As you see, I have my coach by my side because we decided to try it again and see if we can get the 500 kg total finally after last year's competition season ended in the hospital. Not the fault of the coach though, but you can see the scar still there. So yeah, this year we're trying it again. And the first competition that we're looking for will be the final rep German Open, where we will compete next to Matthew and next to Para. Different weight category though, as we're aiming for the minus 80, but still they will be there. So make sure to check out the competition. That means we have roughly 5 months to prep. And what we're doing today is a mobility screening. And the reason for that is that during the prep, the worst thing that can happen is that you're going into a strong discomfort or into a small injury. And with those mobility tests, what we can do is we can find possible bottlenecks due to some joints not having a good range of motion, some shifting in the bodies, and that can lead to overloading injuries in certain structures, as most of the street lifts, not most, all of them are symmetrically loaded. And if the load is not distributed symmetrically in the body, one side may be more loaded than the other, can tolerate less volume, leads to overloading faster. And that is what we want to find out today, and we will guide you through the whole process and also give you some insights in how we work as coaches, and we will show that through the whole prep. So have fun with the mobility screenings and maybe you can learn something. First challenge of today is
we're testing shoulder internal rotation. For this test, Michael is assuming a hook-lying position with the feet together and flat in contact with the ground. And we're now testing the left hand side. This means he's going to place the right hand on the lower part of the rib cage. And
it's already flaring.
It's already flaring, you see. And what we want to try to look for here, we want to keep the lower back in contact and the arm at 90 degrees.
So I try to
the torso.
Avoid doing that.
Exactly. Michael is dropping his hand slowly as far as he can, as soon as he feels that the shoulder tends to come off the ground.
That's roughly here. It's not moving.
He's reversing the movement. And what is important, it's not about passing those tests. It's about, we want to find out where we're at right now. Because if we try to force certain positions, the central nervous system will lock up and it won't give us the mobility screening that we want to see.
Just a reminder, it's not about passing those tests, because if I just rotate like that, yes, I can put my hand on the ground. Here we go. That's it.
That's about 20 to 30 degrees of internal rotation.
So of course, if you do it a bit more often, you get better at this test, but it's still...
We'll go for it 2 to 3 times.
Like from here, in order to get deeper, I would need to lift up.
The next test we're going to take a look at is the shoulder external rotation test. This time I want you to make a fist, and the fist should face the ceiling. As you execute this exercise, please ensure that the elbow is staying close to the torso. And whenever you're feeling restriction on the backside of the rib cage, please reverse the movement. Now we're dropping the hand slightly and slow out to the side as far as we can. And what we want to ensure is that the elbow is not drifting away. And ideally, we would have 90 degrees of shoulder external.
And again, I could just cheat on this test. And you see then the shoulder comes to the ceiling and I just rotate away.
All right. Here we can definitely see a big difference from left to right. And that's also the topic of today. We want to see if there are shifts to any sides or if there is a side that Michael prioritizes.
And if you didn't know, now you know that we are offering calisthenics and weighted calisthenics online coaching. So if you are interested in learning impressive bodyweight skills like planches, handstand push-ups, front levers, or attending a weighted calisthenics competition, then you should definitely schedule your free consulting call for our online coaching, and then we will help you to make sustainable gains, get rid of your discomforts, learn the movement patterns correct, and just progress with a lot of fun. So I hope to see you in the consulting call soon. So what happens next, coach?
So now we're testing shoulder abduction. We want to ensure that the hips, ribs and head are nicely stacked in a line. Now, what Michael is doing now, he's bringing his arm up and the palm of the hand is facing in the same direction as his eyes. And please bring the shoulder again a little bit more forward, exactly. And I want you to do the same whenever you're doing this test, because the goal of this test is to test abduction. So we're bringing the arm behind the body. And if we're rotating towards that side, we of course get more range of motion, and that would come or result in a different outcome that we want to see where his real range of motion
No range
is.
of motion as expected.
So we're now testing his range of motion, and Michael is now going slowly backwards.
Yeah, that's it. So,
all right.
Like,
So exactly, if
like this is really the end here.
that's already a little bit compensated here. So ideally we would have 60 degrees of range of motion in this test, and we're now testing the opposite side.
I know, coach. What do we expect from the previous tests to happen now here?
As the right side I was a bit better in external rotation, we should also see more range of motion in this test here.
And
That's the case. Exactly. But what happened here again is that Michael turned away with his shoulder. So exactly, we're bringing the shoulder over and now we're testing. But it should feel a lot smoother than on the left-hand side and a lot less blocked. And it's obvious, as we can see, that he has about 30 degrees more range of motion as in comparison to the left-hand side.
we covered the upper body. And of course, we now need to check what's going on in the lower body, as some athletes will have same side rotations, upper and lower. Some will be twisted in the other direction. And in order to find that out, we're doing now a
straight leg raise test. This means we're going to test hip flexion.
Just want to excuse myself, I'm a bit sore in the hamstrings.
But what we want to ensure as we raise the leg is that the knee stays fully locked. That is a very crucial component. And as we could see, Michael already started compensating a little bit earlier than what he actually has available in terms of range of motion. Because if we look at now, what is happening now, he's putting a little bit more focus on it, but the right hand leg is coming off the ground. And you should see this nicely from this perspective. Whenever he's raising the leg, now it starts to compensate about here. I'm actually quite happy with the range of motion that we have available.
It's just rectus femoris feeling, no hamstring stretch.
No hamstrings. All right. Now, let's do one more and push a little bit more into the box with the opposite leg. Yes.
No, it's hamstrings.
For me, it looks like right hand side tends to be a little bit worse actually. How does that feel for you?
Shitty.
Worse than the other side before?
Same. It's more hamstrings tension, but less quads tension.
Yes. Keep the knee extended, please, and push the other foot into the box. Yes.
Call on me. Call on me.
This is a side-lying hip abduction test. We assume a side-lying position, and for this test we need a pillow, a hoodie or something underneath our lower rib cage to mid rib cage. When you start the movement, I want you to bring the leg backwards as far as possible until you feel like you're going to arch your back. Please stop shortly before, and this is the position where we're going to raise the leg up as high as possible. Exactly.
Now I would need to rotate.
Exactly. And what we're looking at here is, can repeat a couple of times. Whenever you're lowering again, bring the leg backwards and then raise the leg. The compensations here would be bending the knee, externally rotating the leg. This means rotating the feet, the toes towards the ceiling, or laterally crunching with the torso. Now here we have roughly 15 to 20 degrees of range of motion available. That looks good. Now ensure that the leg is not rotating externally. Keep the knee extended. Yes. Stop.
Ich habe gar keine Kontrolle.
Lovely.
So from a coordination standpoint, left is horrible.
This is a pelvic rotation test. We start in a hook-lying position on the ground, feet flat in contact, arms out to the side, hands facing the ceiling. Now, what we're going to do here is that we're going to rotate the pelvis as much as we can. And what we're looking at here is the position of the shoulders. As soon as one of the shoulders tends to come off the ground and we're rotating towards the working side, the test is over. Now, that is actually the main compensation we're looking at. You can take the feet off the ground and keep them close together.
I think now it feels like it's lifting off.
Genau, also du kannst sie so weit wie möglich droppen. All right, that looks good here. Now, one thing that we want to ensure is that the feet are staying together and the knees are staying together.
Now it lifts off.
Yes. We'll do the other side.
No.
Yes.
Okay, now we have the most embarrassing tests of them all, and this is a bodyweight squat. What we're doing is we're looking for all kinds of compensations. And in order to find them, we want to start in a pretty neutral position. That means we're getting into somewhat of a hip width stance, feet are pointing forward, and then we're just going down in a bodyweight squat. And this test will tell us a lot about how we tend to shift our center of mass in space, how we load the feet, how the knees are going, how we bend through the spine. And so later on, with exercise selection and exercise constraints, we can kind of lead the squat and push it into a direction where we want to have it. So, yeah.
So we're starting with feet kind of close together. And we want to take a look at the squat from all directions. Now, keeping the knees close together will just help showing us the compensations that we're looking for. We go for about 3 to 5 repetitions, slowly taking the time with as much range of motion as possible, ensuring we keep an eye on the things that might cause some discomfort, some nagging, or compensations that we feel during the execution. Now, obviously, this exercise also helps us to see where the center of mass of the person is, where the person shifts their center of mass as they squat, and if there are any shifts like asymmetries. Is there a hip hike, where we can see here, left side tends to hike up, while the right hand side has a lot more hip flexion available. We can also see some compensations at the feet, like on the left hand side, the whole ankle is dumping inward and Michael is trying to fake pronation. The foot needs to flatten out as we squat into the bottom portion of the squat. Otherwise we cannot push the knees over the toes, and to fake this or to achieve the same, the body tends to collapse the ankles. But this is a great representation of the current hip flexion.
And again, just showing you the difference, why it's important to do that test with a narrow stance, neutral positions. Because if I just go wider and externally rotate already, of course I can squat much deeper and much more upright, but it's not what we want to see here. So again, it's not about winning the test or performing good at it. It's about honest reflection on the status quo.
We're now done with the screenings, and obviously Michael is restricted in his mobility, and that's something we have to tackle to ensure that he has a long runaway of progression and can progress through the competition prep without getting injured. That is obviously the main goal, to have a long runaway of progression to drive progress and adaptations, and we don't want to have setbacks due to mobility restrictions.
As we had in the last preps, we had the adductor issue, we had knee issues. Gladly, I think that was most of it. Upper body was always pretty good. Sometimes we had a bit of forearm pain during the chin ups, if I remember correctly, last year. But that's about it. And that's always why also the squat came out much lower than we hoped for it, because we were pretty restricted from knee and sometimes hip pain. And you saw some of the possible reasons for that. And if we can decrease those bottlenecks, we can probably increase practice. It's not a ticket to be completely injury-free or discomfort-free, but we can definitely lower the risk, or that is the goal.
But also to improve the movement patterns, so the movements feel a bit better, because as you probably know, when you have an injury or something feels off mobility-wise, you have a hard time getting into positions, and then also driving adaptations will be very hard. Now, to conclude the screening, Michael has a tendency to shift to his right side, even though some tests have been better on the left-hand side, but that only indicated that he prefers to shift onto his right-hand side. Obviously not all of the tests align with that, but that is completely normal, that 1 or 2 tests are off. What would be ideal, but no one is perfect, and especially as we humans are not symmetrical, and we will never be. This is completely normal. We have the heart on the left side, we have the liver on the right side, and so on, and therefore the goal should never be to be 100% symmetrical, but what we want to ensure is that we're able to shift in and out of either side, because we do a sport where we mostly only extend and flex, and the missing key component is rotation, and that is something that we're going to integrate into his training plan, so we ensure we're able to shift in and out of those sides, being able to then produce more force and more gains.
So we're gonna see probably some annoying exercise, but for the sake of the 500 kg total, I am willing to try it.
At least he tried.
Let's put it like that. So I mean, most of the issues here, they're known, and they were tackled softly, I'd say. So what I did was the bare minimum to function. And that is because I mostly don't enjoy this type of training that is needed for it, because I just lack in discipline. We can call that out. That's what it is. So I could have been in a much better position right now, but I choose not to be, for the sake of enjoyable training. Let's put it like that. Doesn't mean mobility is not fun, but you know, you cannot move a lot of weight. You need to focus a lot on movement patterns. It's uncomfortable, especially at the beginning, and no one likes to do stuff where he or she is bad at. And obviously we will do a lot of exercises where I'm super bad at, because I need to improve those patterns, those movements, and that's why I didn't do them, because I suck at them. And that's also the reason why we're now again working in a coach-coachee relationship, because then my job is to shut up and do the work and do what's needed and not what I want to do.
Exactly. And if you want to become an elite level athlete, I give you one tip. The real good athletes are really good at doing the boring things.
That's why I'm mid. Good. And then, I will show you here the outcomes of the test. We'll put it in the video, and in the upcoming videos of the series and also in the vlogs, we will then comment on exercise selection, showing you also some of the struggles with the new exercises, and then hopefully also the learning and improvement process, and basically also holding myself accountable with those blocks to really do the work. And we see if we can improve, because what that means in the beginning is less weight. That's mostly what it means. And so, You won't see any PRs soon, but hopefully a Michael moving much more efficiently.